Hey there, everybody. Welcome back. And today we've got a great new episode for you guys. And this particular video we're giving you guys here today doesn't focus on anything particularly going on at the moment, but instead, and this is exciting one we've got for you guys here today, we'll be going over what I think the top 10 moments of Season 3 have been thus far. And of course, before I get into my top 10, you guys are more than welcome to chime in your opinions on what you think the top 10 should be. And I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. It's a fun one, that's for sure. So here we go. Let's start to break down the top 10 moments that have shaped this season. So first of all, I would just like to say that for this video, as I'm breaking down my top 10 moments from this season to this point, I will be giving you guys an explanation as to why I believe this is a deserving top 10 moment, and all in all, just what made it great to see, So again, here we go. Let's hop into it. And as always, if you guys agree with how I make my list, then feel free to let me know. But if not, that's okay. Just let me know and explain why you think that might be a better moment, or why you think a moment should be in the top 10 if I didn't put it in there. So all right, let's hop into this. And first of all, I would like to say that we will have some honorable mentions here in this one. And, after I go over each top 10 moment, I will be listing an honorable mention. And after I list my number one moment, I will be going through some more. So without any further ado, let's hop into number 10 here on this list. And this is definitely a really interesting moment because it just, it means so much to Spencer. And, without any further ado, let's just get right into it. Number 10, Corey's number is retired. So, this was definitely a touching moment. We saw this at halftime of the homecoming game. And, it was just really great to see because given everything that was going on in that episode, Corey was obviously a really good player in his day, and nobody really knew about that, which is something that Spencer didn't really like to see, So obviously, this was a big moment because, Corey's finally getting that recognition he deserves, and, that feels for Spencer too, as his dad. So, it was just really nice to see, and, obviously, like I've said, everyone will remember his legacy now, and just in terms of how great he was, So just let me know what you guys think about that moment. It was definitely a touching one. Billy made a nice speech for him, and, they put his number on the field, his number 5. So it was definitely great to see. And, again, just let me know what you guys thought of this scene. It was definitely touching for sure. So, all right, now that we've revealed that number 10, moment in this throughout the duration of this season, let's get into our first honorable mention. So, of course, as I go over these honorable mentions, just know that they aren't in the top 10. I just thought they'd be worth noting because they were particularly good moments that I thought should be included in this video. So, our first honorable mention has to do with Spencer confronting Coop about his shoulder problems. Now, this was definitely a really interesting moment because it's big for Spencer that he had to get over his problems by confronting his best friend about it. It was you didn't like to see it, of course, because this kind of marked the end of their friendship. But, it was necessary for Spencer to be able to get over what he had been through with his shoulder and everything, and to just have that sense to, confront Coop about it. It was just really big of him. And, even though he knew it may have jeopardized their friendship, he knew it's what needed to happen in order for him to get back to 100%, physically and mentally, So it was definitely good to see, and that's kind of why I included this in my honorable mentions, just because, like I said, this wasn't something that I wanted to go unnoticed, I think it was definitely a good moment. It's not in my top 10, but, it was good for Spencer moving forward. I think part of this, the reason why this isn't included in my top 10 has to do with the fact that this kind of resulted in the end of Spencer and Coop's friendship. But, again, just let me know what you guys thought about this part, and, do you think this is a top 10 moment, or do you think I did the right thing by putting this as an honorable mention? So, all right, now that we've kind of gotten through that, let's get into number 9 now. This is definitely an interesting moment in terms of how everybody was able to come together. And this one, at number 9, we've got Darnell's going away party. Now, this was definitely a really interesting moment. Not, obviously it was sad to see Darnell go the way he did. Obviously his mom isn't in very good condition, but in terms of the party, I feel like this was really nice to see, not just for Darnell, because, obviously he's got a lot going on, having to go away with his mom in rough shape, but the thing for me is that, like, Spencer and everybody else, they comfort him, we're going to be here for you when you get back and are ready to go again, and, I think this is another, not just kind of drifting away from the party a little bit, obviously Darnell going away, it was kind of a hit for the football team if you think about it, in a way, because I feel like they could have played really well with him at QB1. But anyways, going back to the party, this was definitely a touching moment. They got their group hug going on, and it was just nice to see that they kind of came together and, supported Darnell in a moment where he needed it. He felt like he couldn't connect with them because he knew he probably would have moved again, and they assured him that, we're still going to be there for you, through the long runs. So that's kind of why I have this at number 9. Let me know what you guys think about it, and, as always, I'll try my best to get back to you. So, like I said, it was definitely kind of a touching moment, and, this party was also really good to see because it's finally where we see Spencer and Jordan apologize, after their fight and everything at the hangout, and, it was good to see. So, just again, let me know what you guys thought of this, and I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So, all right, now that we've gone over our 9th moment my 9th best moment in the season, let's go over another honorable mention that we've got here. And this is definitely an interesting one. And of course, like I mentioned, since it's an honorable mention, it's not in my top 10. But at number 2, we've got Simone gets a chance to stay in her baby's life. So this was definitely really, we haven't really heard much about Simone and her baby ever since this episode. But, it was really nice to see her get a chance to still be a part of her baby's life, and just not have to, have that feeling of regret that she gave it up and never got a chance to actually meet him. So, all in all, that's about all I've got for that. But it was just a really good moment. And like I said, it's not a top 10 moment, but I've got it in my honorable mention. I thought it was something that we should get a chance to embrace. So, all right, moving on now that we're on to our number 8 moment from this season 3, and this is definitely a big one because it has a lot to do with where the show goes moving forward and everything. So at number 8, we've got Spencer stands up to Coach Barnum. Now, this was definitely a really interesting moment, and it was nice to see because, as we know earlier, and that this was just in the last episode, but we saw it earlier in the episode that a lot of Spencer's interest from TNT was generated as a result of his shooting, and, that they could market him as a bad boy, which of course we didn't like at that point in the episode. But, obviously later on we saw Spencer stand up to Coach Barnum and say, you guys are going to have to take me the way I am. I'm just here to play football. And, that was really great to see because had he been in a situation where he committed to that school as this quote bad boy, being marketed, then it would have just really been tough to see him in that kind of role for future seasons and everything, but again, just let me know what you guys think. That kind of sums up why I think this was a big moment in this season, and it's at number 8, so it's pretty big, and it was nice to see him have the will to do that, and Coach Barnum respected it. And of course, we're still wondering whether or not he'll commit to this school, but, I guess we'll just have to wait and see and, hope for the best. So, again, that's at number 8. And just let me know if you guys have this in your top 10 or if, you have it outside of there. So, okay, now that we've covered number 8, let's get into our third honorable mention that I'd like to get into. And this is definitely kind of an underrated moment, in my opinion. And, at our third honorable mention, we've got Simone's dad realizes her baby has been named Shay. And, this was definitely a big moment for me because, this kind of gives us a little background on Simone's baby. And, it was definitely really nice to see her dad in a place where he cares about what's best for the child, and everything. But, obviously later on we see him share some pictures with Simone, in terms of her baby, and, it's healthy. It's, it has a name, so this was definitely kind of touching for me. And, just let me know what you guys think. I thought this was one of those moments that should get mentioned. It's kind of underthought, I think. I don't think a lot of people have thought about that moment, but, when he's talking to the adoptive father, and everything. So, again, just let me know what you guys think, and I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So, all right, now we're on to moment number 7 here in this top 10 moments of season 3 video. And this is definitely a big moment, an interesting moment, because it benefits Spencer. And at number 7, we have Spencer is nominated for a homecoming king. And, this is obviously a really nice moment to see, for Spencer as the main character. He's getting nominated for, for a position that's really respectable, Mr. South Crenshaw. And, in terms of what this means for the show, it doesn't really say anything, but in terms of what's best, and what you like to see for Spencer, this is kind of what puts this moment up there, and it was just really nice to see him get that, given everything he went through to that point. And, just kind of, like I said, find something that he has to look forward to. Of course, he wasn't nominated as homecoming king, or excuse me, he wasn't voted as homecoming king, but, it was still just nice to see him get that recognition, So, again, let me know what you guys think about this, and as always, I'll try my best to get back to you. So, all right, now that we're through moment number 7 on our top 10, let's get into our 4th honorable mention of this episode here today. And this is definitely an interesting one. It's not in my top 10, but at our 4th honorable mention, Spencer and Olivia have an awkward moment, and Asher seems to notice. So this goes back to episode 1 of season 3, wherein we see Spencer going back to the Baker house looking for Jordan, and Olivia comes downstairs, and there's just a lot of tension going on in this moment. She's staring at him and everything, but Spencer, he's going to return his key and everything, and there's just a lot of tension, between them. And like I said, Asher comes down, and he seems to notice. So that's kind of, at that point, it's kind of like that's where he starts to realize that something may have happened during the summer, and Olivia's got some to hide. But I just thought that moment should definitely get mentioned, because it's not, like I said, it's not in my top 10, but in terms of at that time us knowing that something must have gone on between Spencer and Olivia, it was important. So I thought should be mentioned. And just let me know if you guys have this in your top 10, or if you think I did good at putting this as an honorable mention, So all right, now we're going back into the top 10, and now we're up to number 6, everybody. We're getting there. This is definitely a really interesting moment, because it's just one of those moments that you really like to see as a viewer, and it's kind of, because the tea is being spilt and everything. And of course, this number 6 moment brings us to Billy and Laura find out about Jordan and Simone's marriage. And of course, this was just a couple of episodes ago at the hospital. This was definitely interesting, to say the least. We saw Laura asking her list of questions about Jordan while the doctor was trying to give him updates about him. And, Simone cuts her off, calls her out for asking all her questions when the doctor's trying to give updates. And, Then she spiels, her whole wife trumps parent in the situation, and comes out that they're married. And it's just, this moment I have a number 6 just because, you love to see it. It's kind of like when you're watching the episode, it's just like, oh my God, it's finally out. But it was definitely really interesting to say the least, like I said. And in terms of what it means moving forward, I'm sure they're gonna have their marriage annulled, but it was just really interesting. And it was, like I said, it was just that moment where you're trying to process everything that's going on, and there's just a lot of drama. So that's why I have that at number 6. So now that we've covered that, let's get into our 5th honorable mention of this one. And this is definitely a good moment to see. And it was touching given the circumstances. So at number 5 for our honorable mentions, we've got Jordan locks down the QB1 spot. And this was definitely great to see because he had been battling with JJ for that spot, and he knew he was going to have to earn it with a new head coach in the high school. And he did that. He stated that he was going to be the QB for this season, and he was able to do that. And of course, with what we have happening now, he's not playing football. That makes this kind of tough to see, but anyways, it was just nice to see that he was able to show Coach Montez that he has what it takes to be QB1, and give the team their best shot at making a run at state. So that's our number 5 honorable mention, and it was just really nice to see. So I thought it should be included here in this video. So all right, moving on now, we're up to our top 5 now in our top 10 moments of season 3. And this moment I'm about to bring up was really touching as well. It definitely kind of appealed to me. So I'll just come out. Number 5, we had Spencer ties Corey's record for most touchdowns in a game. Of course, this was just a couple of episodes ago as well in their homecoming game. Spencer, we find out, has 7 touchdowns in the game. At 49 points, and of course, that's when, he's pleading to Billy to keep him out of the game. They're up by like over 20 points, and, Billy's like, no, you need to come back into this game. Corey, he wouldn't be upset that he lost his record. He'd be happy that you're the one that broke it, but anyways, so we do see him go back out there, and, he's busting through, he's running right through the line, and he's about to take it the distance, but then we see him take a knee on Corey's number, kind of like we were talking about before as it was retired. But he takes a knee, solidifying that he's not going to be the one, he's not going to take his pop's record, and they're going to share it together. And it was just really touching to see. And obviously it was a big moment for Spencer. He's having this great game, and he ensured that he's not going to take Corey's record. He's going to share it with him. So it was definitely touching. And, just let me know what you guys thought of this scene. I've got it at number 5. So just get back to me as always. So, all right, now that we've covered our number 5 moment of the season, let's get into our number 6 honorable mention from in this video. And this one isn't as interesting, but it definitely says something about Olivia and Asher's relationship. Number 6, Olivia comes clean in knowing about Asher. So, of course, this was when she was talking to Layla, and, they were at the hangout having coffee, and, she comes out saying, that she went to Mexico to surprise Asher, and, she's the one that ended up getting surprised by, Asher being with another girl, which, of course, was Vanessa. But, I just think this one couldn't go without mentioning just because, it was a big moment, like I said, in terms of Asher and Olivia's relationship. And, it kind of put things into perspective for how things might go for them, So that's why I didn't have this in the top 10, but I've got it as an honorable mention. So let me know what you guys think about this. So I'm always interested in hearing from you guys. So, all right, now with that thought, we're on to our number 4 moment from All-American Season 3. And this is definitely just a big moment in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement and the fight for justice. So at number 4, we've just got plain and simple Tamika's Vigil. So now, of course, this was really touching to see because, these guys are fighting for justice. They're expressing that. When Coop was having her speech, she's like, this has got to stop. It can't continue any longer. And, it was just really touching to see because, these guys are so passionate about this particular issue. And, you love to see it because it has been an issue that has really been way too it's had way too much of a say on our society. And it's just good to see that these guys are going to have the will to fight for a better system and get Tamika the justice she deserves. So again, just let me know what you guys thought of this scene, and as always, I'll try my best to get back to you. But Tamika's Vigil at number 4, and just let me know if you guys have this in your top 10, and I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So, all right. So now that we've gone over our number 4 moment from season 3, we've now getting into our number 7 honorable mention. And this is definitely an interesting moment because it's kind of going back to like Billy and Laura finding out about Jordan and Simone's marriage. It's one of those moments where you're just like, oh, here we go, this is happening. Number 7, we've got Spencer, Layla, Jordan, and Simone's double date turns awkward. This isn't quite as extreme as the whole Jordan and Simone marriage in terms of, because they're not finding out anything. It's just because, it was supposed to be a double date, as we know, between Spencer, Layla, Jordan, and Simone. Of course, Spencer and Jordan didn't have any knowledge of it, but Olivia invites herself basically with Asher, and it turns out that's when we get those guys coming along, and then we see JJ and Vanessa pop up there as well. So, like I said, it's kind of just one of those moments where you're like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be really interesting, and that's kind of why I have this as an honorable mention. Just didn't want it to go unnoticed, and I don't have it in my top 10, but it was definitely an interesting moment to say the least. And of course, there was some tension at the hangout, between Spencer and Olivia and everybody, so that's kind of why I have this in there. So just let me know what you guys think, as always. So, all right, everybody, now we're getting into the top 3 moments from this season, and we're starting to get into really big moments now here, everybody. Number 3, Olivia confesses her love for Spencer, and of course, this was episode 8, before we went on that long hiatus. Olivia shows up at the Crenshaw Cafe after Spencer does his homecoming speech, and, she offers him a ride home, which, of course, Spencer goes with her, and, that's when we see the whole love confession, and everything, and, it's just really, obviously, it was really nice to see. I was thinking about putting this in number 1, but based on what we see afterwards, I think that's kind of what puts this at number 3. With the whole car crash and the drinking problem is exposed. So that's kind of why I have this in number 3. But it is at number 3. So obviously that's basically because Olivia comes out and expresses her love for him, and she's been in love with him since he first transferred to Beverly. And, it was just so touching, since we saw Spencer confess his love for her in Vegas, and she's just now starting to realize that. So, it was just really nice to see. And, it's just a touching moment, it's, and like you were thinking they were going to get together at this moment, Olivia starts now. But, of course, the story afterwards, kind of put things out of hand with the car crash and, finding out that Olivia's no longer sober, so, just let me know what you guys thought of this scene. Again, the whole kind of car crash and the sobriety, that's kind of why this is at 3 instead of 1. But, it was definitely a touching moment. And, it's almost like in this moment when you were watching it for the first time, I was just shaking personally, because it's like this is finally happening and, they're going to get together. But, of course, they're not together right now, given everything that's happened. And, hopefully they'll be able to reconnect soon enough. So, all right, let me know, and also let me know where you guys have this moment. I'm sure it's in your top 10, but just let me know. So, all right, now that we've covered the number 3 moment from season 3, let's get into our number 8 honorable mention, and this is going a little bit different direction here at number 8. I just thought this shouldn't go without notice. Number 8, JJ wins Beverly's Homecoming King title. And, this is definitely just interesting to see because, obviously JJ's a really lovable character and he brings a lot of good energy to the show given everything that goes on. And it was just nice to see him get that recognition by winning Homecoming King. And, he was kind of, weird about it. He was wearing his crown after, the dance and everything. But, it was just great. He deserves it. So, he can wear that crown all he wants. But, it was just nice to see. And that's kind of why I've got this as an honorable mention, because it was a good moment, but not good enough to be in the top 10, So, all right. So now that we've covered our 8th moment from the honorable mentions list, let's get into number 2 on our top 10 moments of season 3. We're getting there, folks. So at number 2, the summer secrets come out at the cabin. So, of course, this was a really, just like with Jordan and Simone's marriage and everything, it's just in this moment you're like, okay, everything's coming out now. Here we go. Things are about to get hectic. And, of course, in that episode at the cabin, we saw a lot get out when they were playing Never Have I Ever and, all that stuff. So, it was definitely just really... it's all unraveling, it's exciting to watch. And, it's like, obviously we knew what was happening, but it's a really good moment because they're finding it out for themselves, so, just let me know what you guys think. That's pretty much all I've got for the summer secrets come out at the cabin, just because I'm not going to go through all of them here, but, you guys kind of get what I'm trying to say when I say the summer secrets come out, so, that is at number 2, and it's definitely up there. Let me know where you guys might have it, and I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So, all right, before we get into number 1 of our top 10 moments, of course, let's get another honorable mention. Number 9 on this list. This is the 9th honorable mention we've gone through, and then after I go through my number 1 moment, you guys are going to hear a little more honorable mentions. We've got a few more after that. So without any further ado, number 9 on our honorable mentions list, we've got Spencer and Olivia bond at the Crenshaw Cafe. So this was definitely a nice moment to see, because obviously to that point in the season, Spencer and Olivia had kind of been avoiding each other and, given everything that happened between them during the summer. And, it was just really it was just really nice to see them bond again, and ensure that they still want to be friends. Obviously they're destined to be more than friends, but, it was just nice to see them get back to that point where they can be friends, and not just avoid each other all the time, So, just let me know what you guys think about this scene. Do you have it in your top 10? I was thinking about putting this in my top 10, but I just thought there was some more deserving moments. So that's why I have this as an honorable mention. And, just let me know what you guys think about that. So, all right, here we go. We're up to our top moment of season 3. And this is a really big moment. It's kind of 2 things here, so let's just hop into it right here. Number 1, Jordan and Simone's wedding, plus the addition of Spencer realizing his love for Olivia. And, this was obviously I have this in number 1 because, not so much because of Jordan and Simone's wedding, although, no offense to them, but, it was definitely, of course, this was in the Vegas episode, but, it was, obviously the wedding was good, but, as both Jordan and Simone are saying their vows and everything to one another, that's when we see Spencer glare at Olivia and, Olivia glaring at Spencer. It's just, it kind of just goes back to all the moments that they've shared together. And, it's like this is really happening. They're finally realizing that they've been in love all along and that, they need to do this, But, of course, at the time of this episode, Olivia's with Asher and Spencer's love life is complicated, but, it was just really touching to see. And, of course, after that, we see Olivia getting ready to leave and, Spencer approaches her and he turns out that he bought, I forget what it was, but he bought a souvenir that Olivia had pointed out earlier in the episode when they were at the gift shop. And, he gave it to her and, then they kissed and everything, and Olivia denies him, but it was just really touching to see, because we finally get that context of what happened in Vegas, and of course afterwards Spencer hooks up with Layla, but, it was just, this is my number one because, Spencer and Olivia, this is the first time we really see something between them. Of course it was from the summer, but given what happened in the next episode, that kind of really helped, and that's why this is number one, so just let me know if you guys have this as your number one, the whole Spencer and Olivia realizing their love for one another at Jordan and Simone's wedding, and afterwards having a talk, which of course, like I said, Olivia denies him, but it was just really nice to see. So that is our number one moment, and we've got a few honorable mentions we've got here as now that we've released our top moment. On number 10, we've got Spencer and the team rally around Chris as they win their first game. This is pretty, obviously this isn't a number one moment, but, this moment was just really nice to see because, as we know, Chris was struggling with his confidence and, he didn't like the fact that they had extra men on the offensive line to, protect him, because he thought he could handle it just normally. But, they won that game, and, I just thought that should be included. It's not a top 10 moment, but I've got it in there. So, all right, next we've got Asher and Jordan earn their spots back on the team. Of course, this was after Jordan had, as everyone thought, Jordan had passed his concussion protocols, and, he got reinstated, and, Asher's work ethic and everything with the team had finally earned him his spot back on the team. And, it was just nice to see because, you finally get to see Jordan and Asher back in action. And, it was just really nice to see. So that's why I've got this as an honorable mention. And let me know what you guys think. So, all right, next we've got Billy and Laura reconnect while Billy fixes the garbage disposal. Now, of course, this came when everybody else was at the cabin and everything, which, of course, is our number 2 moment wherein the summer secrets come out. But, Billy and Laura, they reconnected, like I said, in this episode while they were fixing the garbage disposal. And, it was just really nice to see because, they both deserve happiness. And, to that point, we hadn't really seen anything from them, so it was just really nice to see. Let me know what you guys thought about this part. And, of course, we didn't actually see anything between them. We didn't see them hook up or anything like that. But, it was just really nice to see. And they were just really vibing, so. All right, now moving on. We've got a few more honorable mentions to get through here. Olivia accepts that she needs help with her drinking problem. So I don't have this in my top 10, mostly just because it's not necessarily a situation wherein, you like what's happening. But, I thought it should be an honorable mention because Olivia is finally realizing that she needs help. Of course, this came in episode 9. But, it was just nice to see. And, she's going to, I kind of have this as an honorable mention because, she's finally going to start getting that help. And, of course, we have seen her get help, and she's found a sponsor to this point, Nurse Joy, so, that was just really a nice. It was good to see that she's finally realized that her drinking isn't the same as it was the last time, and you know, anyways, so you guys kind of let me know if you agree with this, and I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So, all right, we've got a couple more to get through. Don't worry here, guys. Our next one is Coach Montez becomes Beverly's head coach, and this was, this is. I wanted to mention this because it's really a nice addition. As a head coach, yes, she's a woman, but if anybody thinks that she shouldn't be the head coach, then that's really sexist, in my opinion. I think that she's proven that she can be a really good head coach, and that she knows what she's doing. Like with the whole moving Asher to defense thing, and just in terms of JJ having the potential to be a quarterback, and all of that. So, and I think she has what it takes to get him to state. So I thought this shouldn't go without being mentioned, and just let me know what you guys thought. So this is an honorable mention for my top 10 moments, because in terms of her becoming a head coach, because it's a really good move for that team, and she knows what she's doing, it looks like. So all right, and now we're on to our final honorable mention that we've got to get through here today. And this one has something to do with Principal Carter. Of course, this was just in the last episode. Principal Carter is presented in a different light. And, this was definitely a good moment to see because, like I said in one of my previous videos, Principal Carter, to that point, it seems like all he was about was, having a personal vendetta with Billy, and, just making things difficult for the football team, because he hopes to push Crenshaw into a magnet school. But this fact, being presented in a different light, having a daughter and being a widow, or having a wife that's been gone for over a year, and it was just nice to see. And it could dictate a little bit of his relationship with Grace, and how his character goes moving forward. So all right, so with that thought, now that we've covered our top 10 moments of season 3, along with some honorable mentions, now's the time where I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, feel free to just go for it in terms of any moment that I mentioned, either as a top 10 moment or an honorable mention. And let's just keep it civil, as always. So also, you guys may feel free to share your top 10s along with me, and I'll try my best to get back to you as always. So with that thought, feel free to like and share this video, and also subscribe to the channel while you're at it. I'd really appreciate it. Anybody that enjoys All-American will enjoy this channel, I can guarantee it. So let your friends know, let your family know, and let's keep this squad rolling. So also, feel free to check out my Instagram page. The link is in the description, where I generally try to keep you guys updated whenever we'll have a new video dropping, as well as if we may experience any delays or cancellations, So again, feel free to check that out. And with that thought, until next time, this has been Austin Bielek, as always, bringing you All-American videos daily throughout the duration of Season 3. Episode 12 returns on Monday, May 17th, so less than a week, everybody. We're almost there after another hiatus. This one was shorter than the last one, but we'll get there soon. Don't worry, everybody. So with that thought, we'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye.